So what are the paths to come to Canada as a business person? Our focus here at Lucalex is the viability of your business. And click here the link to see more information about our program, Your Business in Canada. One thing you need to know, of course, is that if your business is viable, there will be a path. And we have seen 5 different paths, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about our experience observing them. One thing you should know is that we're not a consultant or immigration lawyer. You should check with excellent professionals that are available to give you this type of very specialized and regulated and licensed advice. Anybody who's giving you immigration advice who's not a licensed immigration lawyer, immigration consultant, be careful, okay? So you have websites, immigration consultants, lawyers, incubators, etc. But let's go. Okay, what's the first path that we have been seeing a lot? We've been seeing one path that people use very creatively. Let's say a couple, right? Husband and wife, 2 partners, and one of them wants to come to be a student and the other one wants to start a business, okay? So in that case, we see actually a lot of people using that path. And why? Because in that first case, although not made for business people, there's no need to demonstrate the viability of a Canadian business. Or you can use your open student spousal work visa. If your partner, your spouse, is going to a college or university and studying, you can start a business as the spouse, right? And the timing to be in Canada is the timing of your student visa. So in other words, it's kind of a way to come here and start to test some business, but actually your spouse, your partner is doing that all through the student path, okay? The second path we see people using is the startup visa. Startup visa was created originally to bring innovators to Canada. And it's a program that has been practically, let's say, outsourced from the Canadian Immigration Ministry to incubators and investors because they have the business and technology expertise to read a business plan and interview the owners and have a better feeling if that's going to be viable or not. Okay, but these partners of the Canadian government, these incubators, these investors, they need to do a lot of due diligence. So, and that has a cost for that institution. So for this reason, this startup visa path, it has a cost that's not negligible, right? Because these people have the commitment with the government to be choosing the right businesses. And there's a lot of work that goes into that choosing, okay? For that, you're gonna need a solid business plan, but you don't need large investments or even having an existing business. It can be a startup, an idea that you want to launch. Right? It may be relatively costly because of those costs that the institution is going to have to incur to be able to work with your business to grant you that support letter. But when there is a pre-existing business with a track record, you can have other paths. But startup visa is mostly for people that do not have a pre-existing business in the country of origin. It doesn't have a track record, okay? So what's the timing of the startup visa? Well, it varies, right? It varies a lot. We know that timelines are getting longer because there's more and more people that perhaps don't qualify through other paths that are flocking to the startup visa path. The third path we see a lot is a provincial nomination programs. There is a regional need for development and the decision-making tends to be local. So for example, small towns that lost a very significant industry and are seeing employment shrink, they may want to attract people that are coming from other countries that may want to set up a business in that place and start to hire. So for that reason, sometimes the provincial nominee programs, they have very regional focus. The challenge is that these programs, they may change quickly because they're provincial and they're driven by local needs. The timing varies, so some people tend to prefer federal programs that tend to be more steady, stable over time. Fourth path that we see a lot of people choose is the intra-company transfer. There is an existing business back home, there's going to be a business here. It was designed originally for expanding multinationals. So let's say if General Motors was to open their Canadian factory, they would send an executive here under a temporary work permit under intra-company transfer, and then they would set up the operation and hire local people to run that operation. So it was created with that intent. originally. But there are ways, our business owners, they're not a big multinational, but they know that they have to send somebody here to run the local operation in Canada. And in many cases, it has to be the founder because they're the person who know how to grow the business, right? So it can be used by smaller business owners as well. Timing also varies. It's hard to estimate. I don't know when you're watching this video. These programs change a lot, around maybe 4 or 5 months, around 16 to 20 weeks. A fifth path we have seen is the Global Talent Stream, which is the GTS. Very specialized and specific skill set is when you want to bring people with a very specialized skill that has a shortage in Canada. And in these cases, it can happen in just a few weeks, okay? Okay, so I gave you 5 different paths. Of course, again, going back and saying, you should talk to your immigration lawyer, immigration consultant, but I'm just talking from the business standpoint, which kind of paths would apply in each situation, okay? How do you choose? It depends on your specific situation. All roads lead to Rome, right? I mean, you can get your permanent residency or your key employee can get the permanent residency in Canada no matter what's the path you're following. But all these paths, they call for a viable business plan in the future. Some of them are better for business that already exist, already generate profits. Some that apply better for business that are very innovative. Some apply better for businesses that want to establish in an area that doesn't have a lot of economic growth. But all of them will have to be profitable and viable in the long term. One thing you also should know about all these different immigration paths to come to Canada as a business person is that there may be windows of opportunity that open and close because these programs, they may be ramping up and they be changing quickly because it depends on the flows and how many people are trying to come to Canada, how many people already came. So be careful when you hear about a program that somebody used successfully, but that was 2 years ago because maybe things were different 2 years ago. You need to be very careful because things may change very quickly. So you need to go and talk to people today to see what they are recommending. Your immigration lawyer, your immigration consultant, okay? But the bottom line is in the base of everything we discuss here, all these 5 paths, the base is the viability of your business. So how do you prepare and how do you decide which is your path? Well, good news. We are here to help. We have our program, Your Business in Canada. Click here in the link. Okay, good luck.